Welcome into Game Night Live Rewind. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart, as always, presented by Heinemann Associates, brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard. We're outfitted by Black Clover. But in these videos, we are focusing on our mental performance, and that comes from our good friends at the RJ Performance Group.
Sure does, Dusty. Pressure is a privilege, and they will help you understand that better, and they'll help you in all facets of your mental performance, be it at home, at work, or in your extracurricular activities. And as we will hear, that mental performance can be critical when you're going through the ups and downs of a season, much like Lehi did in 21.
Well, that's a great segue, Dane. I mean, that's like you're a professional or something. But you're absolutely right. We got a chance to talk with Noa Gonsalves, and you think of this team in Lehi. We'll talk about it. A year ago, we had high expectations for them. They win a Region 7 championship, a disappointing loss after they get a first-round bye, and their ability, Dane, to come back with a new head coach and Coach Quincy Lewis, an absolute proven winner, especially at the high school level here in the state of Utah. Their ability to put all those things behind them and move forward is the absolute story of the Lehi Pioneers.
Yeah, by far, Dusty. I mean, I think we were both shocked when they lost in the playoffs last year, and returning all sorts of talent. You welcome in Peter Amakasu and, of course, Quincy Lewis coming in. Those are some pretty significant changes, and you might return, 3 or 4 starters, but you welcome in a young man who could be, go-to option number one on a multitude of teams in this state, and then a proven coach who, is going to bring his own culture and the things that he wants to run and the way he wants things to operate. And Dusty, it started off strong. We talked about a little bit of a midseason low, but everything able to turn out well for the Lehi Pioneers this year.
Pleased to be joined by I call him the Flying Hawaiian, and now 5A state champion Noa Gonsalves. Noa, first of all, thanks for joining us. And I know it's kind of a big deal. What was it like meeting the mayor of Lehi and having him make a big deal about the fact you guys bring home a state championship?
It was different. I've never done that before, but yeah, it was really nice of him to notice us and recognize us.
What was this season like? Talk about the transition. We'll get into it just a little bit, but the change. Coach Yeager, you guys have a great year last year. You have an early bow out, and then Quincy Lewis comes in. What was this transition like for you guys? Did your roster even know who Quincy was or what he had done at Lone Peak? I mean, help us understand what was that like in the locker room.
Yeah, I think some of us have heard of him, but I personally haven't heard of him until he actually called me. Until we heard that he was an option, and then I looked him up, and yeah, I found out who he was, and yeah, I think most of the other guys knew who he was, though.
I was going to ask a very similar question. I'm curious, last year you guys were so good. You won region, that early exit. How much did that fuel the fire for this roster and that locker room to make sure that 21 ended on a different note?
Yeah, we did not want to feel the same feeling that we felt last year. It was probably the worst feeling ever. So we just came out with our with hustle and hunger, and yeah, we just wanted to win.
Middle of the year, things were, I don't want to say you were struggling, but you had two tough games against Timpview, things like that. What happened that you were able to keep this locker room together? Because there's expectations, there's hopes. You guys knew how good you could be. How did you just keep that locker room together when things weren't going the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, we lost a lot of region games that we shouldn't have lost, but coach came up to us and said, "Hey, we need to stick together and get through this and focus on the next game and keep focusing on the next game and just become the best possible team that we can be by March 1st."
Noah, you look at that championship game, and first half feels like things are going pretty good. Third quarter, Farmington gives you guys pretty good punch coming out of that locker room. What was said to really get the troops focused for that fourth quarter and to make the strong push and to close this out?
Yeah, we just had to lift each other up and stay connected, play together. If you have your shot, take your shot. If not, pass it up, and yeah, just playing together.
What was kind of the conversation? You mentioned a little bit there, but you see someone like Colin Chandler, right? You guys are kind of the two stars. We're gonna look at the two number one options in each team. You see Colin start to get it going there at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but I think Peter did a good job with him in the start of the fourth, and then yeah, we all stepped up, made some huge plays down the stretch, and then we pulled it out.
I was actually going to ask about Peter, a move into Lehigh this year, and you guys made for a really entertaining duo. What was it like to play with him and to know that on any given night, it might be Peter's night, it might be Noah's night, it might be both of your nights. What was it like to play with him in this Lehigh offense?
Yeah, I think we play well together, and I lift him up, he lifts me up, and he can make some tough shots. And I know what shots he likes to take and where he likes to be. So I try to give him that position and try to make his play.
Noah, walk us through the final moments. I mean, Farmington has a chance down 3 points, and Chandler gets that ball. You guys make that stop. What was going through your mind those closing seconds of the state championship game? I mean, they made you sweat it out to the end. So we walked through those last seconds, and then what was that moment where the buzzer went off and you guys are state champions? Walk us through your mind, and if you can even remember it. Maybe you were just too excited, but we walk us through those moments.
Yeah, we just had to get one more stop, and then we know we had it in the bag. And yeah, when that buzzer went off, it was the greatest feeling that we ever felt, and just so happy.
When you think of this year, and Dusty kind of asked this question, in a really difficult Region 7, you guys about 500 in there. Playoffs, you guys just, go on an absolute tear. When you think back on this year, what is the lesson or what is the thing that you'll remember outside of winning a state championship? What was the lesson that you learned through all of that adversity and things that you guys had to battle through this year?
Yeah, just staying mentally tough, staying together with your teammates, lifting your teammates up, making sure that no one's down, and yeah, just playing together as a team.
Those are good ones. And Noah, one last thing. You always feel the love coming from the hometown of Kauai. You feel the support from the fam out there?
Oh yeah, every single day, man. Every single day.
Well, hopefully you get the right test and you'll get your own parade from them, right? They owe you one.
Yeah. Yeah, uh-huh. Hopefully when I go down there, they'll be ready.
Well, Noah, man, congratulations. We're so excited for you. It's been a blast watching your development at Lehigh, and congratulations. Thanks for joining us, man.
Of course, man. Thank you. Thank you for my family, too. You already know they appreciate you all the way from Kauai.
You see Noah such a calm, and I think this is kind of a running theme, right? Is a lot of the people we've talked to, just a cool, calm, collected operator, man. That guy, we're going to rattle him too much.
Yeah, and I mean, we tried to give him some questions to kind of peel back the covers a little bit. I mean, you look at it's no wonder the way that state championship turned out. We talked about had a strong first half. Farmington comes roaring back in the third, and Colin Chandler gets going, and you just see him again. His persona in the interview, just that's okay. If you have an open shot, take it. If you don't pass it, your teammate will hit it, and trust in it, and it will work out. And you just kind of see that come through as he's talking about the season and some of the ups and downs for Lehigh this year and the changes that they went through and new faces. We talked about this team did not shy away from having to deal from adversity and challenges and changes here this year. And, it was that mental performance, that mental toughness that he talked about that was able to help them work through that, come ready and focused for the 5A state playoffs and end up with a championship and the first one in over 20 years.
Yeah, Dan, I think one of the most important things we learned about this team, and Noah talked about it, is these guys knew their roles. Much like Davis, you guys had to accept some roles. You had guys that even got moved. When Peter Amakasu comes in, guys had to accept different roles, maybe what they thought, even through the end of summer. And I think that, to me, is another fun part. And you have to have someone like Quincy Lewis and a leader like Noa Gonsalves for guys to just accept those roles and for the best part of the team.
Yeah, you also welcome in a freshman center. And, Broussard, I thought he played really well this year. But that's not easy for guys who have been on the varsity team for a couple of years and been expecting this to be their year. And here comes a freshman to take minutes and, played really well in those championship games and in the playoffs. I kept expecting Farmington to try to go after him a little bit, see if they could get after his youth. And he stood tall in the paint on both ends of the floor. And so, and it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to be able to actually execute it on the floor. And a lot of that credit goes to these players, the entire roster, and to Coach Lewis for being able to help them to buy into that and understand that, hey, look, this is still a team and we're still going to need all of you to help us in practice and to help in our preparation. And when you're on the floor, to be able to execute and perform at your highest level for those minutes that you get. And I mean, you talk about likening this team to a Davis type, and absolutely love that, because even in that championship game, different guys stepped up at different times. And it was that unit that came through for Lehigh to deliver that state championship, defeating Farmington.
Well, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things: accepting your role, but also we talk about not letting plays defeat you plays later, or games one loss beat you two more times, right? And I think what's impressive with this Lehigh team, they didn't let last year's disappointment bleed into, in the state tournament, bleed into this year's state tournament, and they turned it into a championship. Absolutely a blast. And again, congratulations, Coach Quincy Lewis, Noa Gonsalves, and the Lehigh Pioneers on the 2021 5A state championship. An absolute blast watching that team. I want to thank Noah for coming on with us. But for Vince Francis, Noa Gonsalves, and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching Game Night Live Rewind.